And no captains. And now I think we are ready to go ahead and get started. So good morning, everybody. Glad to see you today. So a couple people. First of all, Max, I know you've been here before, but you want to say hello. Good to see you last night. I was telling people earlier that in Tucson here we have a group called Tech Nerds, and they meet about once a month and have a great time. People get to visit and so forth. And so there's a couple of people on call this morning that we met last night, and a couple of people I made them feel guilty that they needed to be here today. So, so Max, you want to just say hello again?
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Max Savankovich. I am the Director of Market Development for Wired Fiber here in Southern Arizona, Greater Tucson area. But as Steve mentioned, last night we were hanging out at Tech Nerds Unite. We'd love to see anybody come and join us. Happy to throw a link in the chat for those that are interested as well.
Great. Thanks, Max. And while we're talking about it, is David Jimenez. David and I go back, I don't know how many years, David? 15, 20 years, maybe more. David, you there? Guess not. Fernando, you want to say hello? We haven't seen you in a long time. A lot of the folks that are new here probably wouldn't know who you are. You want to say hello?
Yes, good morning. My name is Fernando Roman. Spent about 25 years with the local telephone company installing, repairing fiber, and now I work directly for the Communication Workers of America in the legislative political department. And so I have, yeah, and we
Lot of stuff happening regarding your industry, huh?
lots of stuff, lots of stuff. Always busy. Let's just say
Yeah.
that.
So I don't know if you want to make any quick comments, Fernando, about workforce development as we start rolling out BEAD. I've been seeing articles about that we're just not going to have the people. We've been talking about that forever. I don't know if you have any thoughts or comments about that at this point.
I know with the CWA, we started around the country. We started a apprenticeship program and pre-apprenticeship program in the state of Idaho, and we received funding under the Biden administration because the current administration it didn't align with them, which I don't know how that worked, but it is here nor there. They removed the funding, so we're trying to find funding for that. We also created a that wasn't dependent on the government, a fiber apprenticeship program. It was a try for three states: Idaho, Minnesota, and South Dakota. And we've been putting, it's pre-apprenticeship high school, and then above 18 through this training, and we successfully trained like 25 people to go right into the industry to learn how to splice fiber. I recently attended a meeting. I didn't know the new Department of Labor has, not the new, the Department of Labor has existing grants that just got released. And so I was in New Mexico a couple of weeks ago and met with Senator Lujan, United States Senator Lujan, and he was excited because they received a $2 million grant in New Mexico. So I'm trying to figure out in Arizona how we can receive some funding for workforce development for Arizona because, uh, the administration is interested in apprenticeship programs. They're just not interested in union apprenticeship programs. Hard to
Uh,
believe, right? But
yeah,
yeah. So we're very busy.
I'll bet. I'll bet.
Steve,
Yeah, Mark.
just in response to that, we're of course still waiting for Ariel Roth and NTIA to put guidelines out for BEAD 2 for the non-deployment funds, but that's some $520 million in Arizona, and workforce development is certain to be one of a number of matters supported. There's no question that workforce development will be applicable. So that will be a competitive grant program for up to 100 and $520 million, probably by mid-year here.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I was actually going to mention that too. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, we're all still waiting patiently, or not so patiently, for the for all the decisions to be made about the
It
non-deployment.
was due no, March 11th, but they've kited it a bit. Drew Clark, a friend of mine, runs Broadband Breakfast, interviewed Ariel Roth a couple of days ago, and she said soon. So that's all we know.
Okie doke. Osar, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. And thank you again, Steve, for inviting me to this. My name is Osar. I'm actually originally from New York. I just moved to Surprise, Arizona. I'm formerly the Digital Equity Program Director for the Bronx Community Foundation, which is a community foundation in the Bronx. I was in charge of various grants and working with both the Bronx Digital Equity Coalition and then later NISDN, the New York State Digital Equity Network. Got really involved with them and became the independent contractor and helping them build out their 2-year strategic plan and following up and expanding their overall formation process. Just recently moved to Arizona, so really wanted to tap in and network with the various different digital equity and broadband individuals doing great work here in Arizona. So thank you, Steve. See some familiar faces, and I also joined Aiden's last meeting. So really trying to get as much breath into the work that Arizona's been doing. We've been watching from afar in New York, especially since last year you guys hosted NTIA. So yeah, great work you guys are doing, and really wanted to figure out how I can get involved.
Great. That's how I met you, was through Aiden. So yeah, so it's good. I'm glad we had a chance to meet you. Is there anybody else who's new today that I'm missing? Going once, going twice. Okay. So while we're talking about Aiden, Kelly, I think you're there somewhere. Kelly, you want to talk about the Aiden AZBSN event coming up on April 7th?
Good morning, everyone. Hi, Steve. And hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Mukherjee from ASU's Enterprise Technology, supporting CIO Lev Gonick in a program called As One. As the board member of AIDEN, we do have a super meeting. Last year was our first annual, and then we're having another one this April. Now, this time it's going to be a collaboration between AIDEN and AZBSN, pulling our two big coalitions here in Arizona together as one. We will have two different locations, one in the Phoenix area, one in the Tucson area, to practice inclusion and trying to make it more accessible for everyone. I think we're trying to do a hybrid in person, and then for those that can't make it in person, we're trying to provide some virtual options as well. And I believe Google Fiber will be helping us in our Phoenix location. And then I think the University of Arizona, I believe, is helping us with our Southern Arizona location. So more to come. Thank you, Erin, for sharing the link in the chat of for more information. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions.
Actually, and I have included in my newsletter, and I will again either tomorrow when I get my newsletter out. But there's actually 3 locations at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're committed to Tucson, Mesa, and in Cochise in Sierra Vista. So those are going to be in-person locations, and then as Kelly mentioned, that there will also be some options for online participation. So again, this is a good. I think this is the first time we've really done a collaboration with Aiden, and it's a good thing for us to be able to collaborate together. So really encourage you check out the notice in my email, and I'll probably send out even a separate notice, maybe even today, about that event and how you can register and so forth. So anyway, thank you, Kelly. Appreciate that. Any other quick announcements? Mark, you want to say anything more about what's happening with the feds before we move on? Mark, you there? You're
Sorry,
muted. There you go.
unmuting. Mark Goldstein, International Research Center and Chair of Arizona Telecom and Information Council. I don't always remember. but Steve pings most of us that don't. Um, Randy and I have hashed through, a number of things the last couple of weeks. There's really not much new. For those interested in SBIR and STTR grants, there is good news that the reauthorization of those grant programs has just passed the House, having passed the Senate, meaning it's on the president's desk. So, small business innovation research grants are great for what are called phase one, phase two, phase three to support R&D within companies. And a lot of people I work with have been anxiously awaiting and scared that they might not be reauthorized in this environment. But SBIR, STTR reauthorization across multiple agencies has reached the president's desk.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Hey, David Jimenez, are you there now? David, are you there? Okay, well, let's jump into our program, and then we'll
Steve,
probably have some. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Steve, he had put in the chat that he was having issues with his microphone.
Oh,
So
thank you. I didn't see that. Thank you for letting me know that. Okay, so let's jump into our program this morning. And where did he go? Or Brian, there you are. And you're now on camera.
I'm here. Yes.
So we're always glad Brian has been a regular participant with us. He's a vice president with AT&T and usually talks to us about wireless related issues. But today he's also going to be kind of giving us an update on what's happening with AT&T's purchase of Lumen and what the implications are for expanding their footprint in Arizona. So with that, Brian, I'm not going to say any more and turn it over to you.
Great.
Do you need to share slides or anything?
No, I don't have slides. I have a document which I'll share with you, which you can distribute after. But I'll
Okay.
talk from that. So yeah. Thanks for the introduction, Steve. Again, this is Brian Daly. I'm an AVP in our network CTO organization at AT&T. I'm actually based in Georgia. I'm in Alpharetta, Georgia, but work closely with teams throughout the country. So I'd like to talk a bit about the AT&T's acquisition of Lumen's fiber business, and to be very specific there, it's just that specific business of Lumen that was part of that acquisition, and more specifically how it will support the connectivity across the state of Arizona. So that acquisition completed in February of this year. And really, the acquisition was substantially all of Lumen Technologies' mass market fiber internet business, which will greatly increase high-speed connectivity across Arizona and also strengthen the state's digital infrastructure. It brings the existing CenturyLink and Quantum Fiber customers in Arizona into AT&T's fiber footprint, and also helps ensure that communities across the state are going to benefit, from the reliable, high-capacity broadband that is backed by our national network scale and long-term infrastructure strategy. So, what does it mean for Arizona customers? Those that are already served by Lumen's fiber network, service continuity is the priority. We want to make sure that those customers are not impacted by this. We're going to continue to support existing CenturyLink and Quantum Fiber customers, and there's going to be no immediate disruption or change into the service as a result of this transaction. Now, over time, these fiber networks are going to be integrated into AT&T's broader operations, and that means they'll continue to be served over the same fiber to the premise infrastructure while benefiting from AT&T's operational scale, customer support capabilities, as well as the network expertise that we support with the millions of fiber customers that we have nationwide today. Arizona was identified in AT&T's original transaction announcement as a key market for the fiber expansion, and it does reflect the strong demand in Arizona to support, businesses, education, healthcare, small business growth that we see. Moving into the Phoenix metropolitan area, that again is one of the key markets for fiber connectivity because there is the strong demand within the Phoenix area. We are, again, looking at the CenturyLink and Quantum Fiber customers across parts of the Phoenix metro area. And again, they'll continue to have their service without interruption. They will benefit from the AT&T large-scale fiber network operations that we have in place. And again, high-capacity fiber does play a critical role in supporting the Phoenix region's diverse economy. Everything from the small businesses and remote workers to healthcare providers, educators, and technology-driven industries. And by integrating the existing fiber assets into the broader network, we are going to help strengthen the region's digital infrastructure and support continued economic growth. Let me take a breather here for a second. So moving on to Tucson, in southern Arizona, we are going to continue fiber connectivity for the Tucson area communities that are already served by Lumen's consumer fiber network. Those existing consumers will continue to be supported, and again, no service disruptions as the networks are integrated over time. Reliable high-speed broadband, again, is especially important in Tucson because it is the home to obviously major educational institutions, healthcare providers. There is a growing small business ecosystem as well. And fiber connectivity is important for remote learning, telehealth, digital entrepreneurship. Those tools are necessary, for local resilience and opportunity. And this does bring AT&T's broader history of network investment into Arizona, again, integrating fiber, wireless, and public safety connectivity across the southern parts of the state. When we look at the rural Arizona, for the smaller cities and rural communities across the state, where Lumen has deployed customer fiber, this acquisition does help ensure continued operation and maintenance of the existing high-capacity broadband infrastructure. AT&T is emphasizing service continuity again, and that includes in the rural areas, and that's going to be a priority for us in those customers in those acquired markets. In the rural areas, reliable fiber connectivity supports essential services such as distant learning, telehealth, small business operations, and access to government and emergency services. And combining Lumen's fiber assets with AT&T's national scale and operational experience, we believe that this will contribute to more resilient and sustainable broadband ecosystem in those communities where connectivity can be especially critical. And these efforts do complement our broader goals to expand access to high quality broadband across urban, suburban, and rural areas of the state. And again, we've emphasized that this does represent a significant investment in U.S. connectivity infrastructure. It's designed to create jobs, spur economic activity, and support long-term network modernization. In Arizona, we plan to increase our investment in fiber infrastructure in the state following the transaction. It will support construction activities, skilled technician roles, and ongoing network operations. And these efforts do build on our broader history of network investments in Arizona, which include fiber, wireless, and public safety connectivity initiatives. High-capacity fiber is a critical foundation for Arizona's economic growth. And mentioned already about enabling remote work as well as online learning, supporting telehealth services and small business innovation, The fiber connectivity will help communities thrive in a increasing digital world, and combining Lumen's existing fiber assets with AT&T's national operations and customer-focused approach, it will strengthen Arizona's broadband ecosystem, as well as help ensure communities have access to the connectivity they need. And while AT&T now operates consumer fiber business acquired from Lumen, Lumen will continue to play an important role in Arizona. Lumen retains its enterprise, wholesale, and backbone fiber networks, which support business, cloud, and public sector customers across the state. So looking ahead, this acquisition of Lumen's mass market fiber business does reflect a long-term commitment to expanding access to high-quality broadband across the country, including Arizona. And by investing in fiber networks, supporting local jobs, and strengthening the state's digital infrastructure, we do aim to help connect more Arizonans to greater possibility, whether it be at home, at work, as well as the communities. So that's a summary of that transaction and what it can bring to the state. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Steve.
Okay. So Brian, a couple of things while we got you. Any other wireless updates that you want to talk about? You're kind of one of our go-to guys about that.
Well, obviously, the big news, coming out of the Mobile World Congress a couple of weeks ago, is AI and 6G. Those are the two key buzzwords. When we talk about AI, we're talking about bringing AI into the networks as well as supporting AI for consumers. And as we move into the 6G era, we're going to see more and more artificial intelligence being used for everything from network operations to support of security on the network, as well as customer services. 6G is on the horizon, although it's a distant horizon from here. It's still several years out, but standards are well underway defining what 6G will be. We'll see when exactly that's going to get deployed, but the standards will be complete by the end of the decade, and we'll probably see deployments starting. We've seen some things in the press talking about 2028, 2029 timeframes, but realistically, end of the decade or right after the beginning of the 2030s, we'll see 6G.
So can you talk a little more about 6G and what that will enable that's different from 5G?
Well, a lot of that is still being defined, but if you look at what the ITU has defined 6G, it's basically what we've got in 5G, where we have mobile broadband, low latency communications, and massive Internet of Things. And 6G will bring more of that. But in addition to that, 6G is going to bring more intelligence into the network. So we'll see AI creep into the network. We'll see a new feature called integrated sensing and communication, where the communication networks can be used to sense the environment around you. You can think of that as more of using the cellular networks as a radar in order to detect things. Those things could be drones, those things could be people, those things could be vehicles, anything that could be around in the environment. And the third new addition is ubiquitous connectivity. So I think we're all familiar when we've talked in this group before about satellite and Starlink, AST, and others. Well, the goal of 6G is to have more ubiquitous connectivity. So your cell phone, wherever you go, whether there's a terrestrial network or not, you'll have connectivity and be able to communicate.
So when this merger is finalized, do you anticipate that it'll improve cellular coverage around the state, or won't have anything to do with it, or?
It's separate but not separate. I mean, the whole theme is connectivity, whether it be wireless, fiber, or connectivity is the main theme. So in one way, it does improve cellular or the ability to communicate by making sure we have an integrated network that has both wireless and fiber.
Okay. Other questions for Brian?
Yeah, I actually just put this in the chat. Again, thank you for that. That's pretty interesting. But when it comes to, are there any, I'm guessing, individuals are thinking about this, but data concerns and privacy concerns when it comes to both AI entering the network space and also the concept of 6G, especially that concept of utilizing the Wi-Fi waves as radar. Like
Yeah.
how is I'm assuming there needs to be a lot of legislation around data privacy, around consumer protection on your location and stuff like that. Like, yeah, that. Well, what are the concerns around that, or how are those concerns being addressed?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And in fact, I'm going to be presenting a report to the FCC next Tuesday from the CISRIC, which is the Communication Security Reliability and Interoperability Council under the FCC. And this is a report on preparing for 6G security and reliability. And one of the points in there is exactly what you just raised. As we bring features such as integrated sensing and communication into 6G, we need to be thinking about those topics, that you just mentioned. What are the privacy concerns? What are the basic rules around it? Because if you look at the FCC rules, radio location has a different rule set than telecommunications. So now that we're merging those together, what does that mean from a policy standpoint? So we're going to be raising those to the commission next Tuesday when I present my report to them. And you've hit the nail on the head, though. Exactly what needs to be addressed.
Dave, we'll get to you in a second, but Brian, you might remind people about a couple of things. One is that you chair actually a national security, wireless security group. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because that's significant.
Sure. So under the GSM Association, we have the North American Fraud Forum and Security Group, which I'm the co-chair with Stacy Augie of Union Wireless. And we address any fraud and security issues related to wireless networks here in the U.S. And some of the big areas, obviously, is, how do we mitigate or how do we decrease the value of stolen devices? We have a global database. If your device gets stolen, it's placed on that global database, and that decreases the value of that stolen device from being resold and used on another network. We also address, prison contraband devices, and anything related to fraud and security within the North American market it can be brought to us and addressed as a community.
So, Brian, you mentioned the incarcerated community, and that's been a topic of discussion, as you well know. Do you have any thoughts or comments, or not your thing? Or
Well, yeah. I mean, contraband devices in prisons is been an issue, and there's several different solutions that can be put into place in order to support that. However, the bad guys try to keep one step ahead of us at all times, and those devices are very valuable to those that are incarcerated and need to use those devices. It could be upwards of $1,000 or much more, for the value on those devices getting into prisons. So we as the community are trying to address, how to provide solutions to the prison system to prevent those devices from being used. And as I said, there's a number of different solutions that can be put in place that could deny those devices from obtaining service on the cellular networks.
Thank you. Any questions? So Dave, you have your hand up.
Yeah, a quick question. I don't know if I'm in a unique situation here, Brian, but I'm technically a CenturyLink customer and have been for quite a while. I'm in an area south of Tucson where my home was wired with twisted pair and copper. So is there any hope of CenturyLink ever bringing peer-to-peer fiber to places like this? As an end user, it's very difficult to know even how to plan because we have this patchwork of some coming in. Some people are pushing the DOCSIS 3 hybrid as the future. But technically, I am one of the customers. And
Oh, Dave, you're in Sarita, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm in Sarita, but it's kind of Sarita Green Valley. And I see Lumen trucks around. I mean, they are in the area, but I don't know what that means for me. So.
Yeah, let me put my email in the chat. And if you'll drop me an email, I don't have an answer right here, but I can get you to the right people who can get you an answer.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much.
So, Brian, the other thing is that you spoke to us not too long ago, but you want to just refresh people's information about your first responder network.
Yes, yeah. AT&T runs the FirstNet, First Responder Network, as a separate dedicated network for first responders. The public safety has a dedicated frequency band dedicated strictly for public safety use. So we operate the cellular network nationwide, supporting public safety in that frequency band. Plus, public safety has access to the AT&T network in the event of congestion or otherwise needs to access outside the public safety band. We support mission critical services. What that means is push to talk, like the old walkie-talkie type functions, are supported on that network, as well as other mission critical services like priority and preemption. And we have a large number of agencies that are currently on the public safety network, the FirstNet network, throughout the country. And I can get you those numbers, but I don't have them in front of me. I don't want to quote off the top of my head, but a significant number of agencies are supported on the network, and it uses the traditional cellular network. And we do have interworking with the land mobile networks that public safety is used to having as well.
Osar, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, actually, I have a comment because I'm very familiar with AT&T First. Actually, we had a great partnership with them back in New York, and I want to know, Brian, if you can speak more about some of the work they do with schools and in providing some grants to institutions when it comes to providing either access to that AT&T First services within schools and within first responder and community areas like that, because I think that's another opportunity for organizations like Aiden and things of that nature to partner with AT&T and get some grants.
Yeah, a lot of those come from the FirstNet Authority itself, which is on the U.S. government side under NTIA. And so that's where a lot of those grants would come from. We are the network operator for that, so a lot of the grants really come from the government side under the FirstNet Authority.
And just to go back to the BEAD non-deployment funds, that is one of the possible application criteria that we're still waiting to hear whether that would support some public safety network granting from the BEAD funds yet.
Right.
And Brian, is there any, I'll probably show my ignorance here a little bit, but is there a movement towards the convergence of satellite and cellular networks, particularly as it relates to FirstNet?
Yeah, I think, ubiquitous connectivity is important both, for the consumers as well as public safety. I wouldn't call it a convergence. I would call it an augmentation because it's
Okay.
not, the satellites are not going to replace the terrestrial networks just because of capacity and bandwidth and so forth. But they will augment. They will provide the service in areas where, it economically or otherwise doesn't make sense to have terrestrial networks. And that will apply to public safety as well as commercial users.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions for Brian, comments?
Hey, Brian.
I have sorry, go ahead.
No, Mala, you go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I actually posted my question on chat, Brian. We have a number of master contracts that are currently in place, and we are in the middle of the E-rate application cycle. The cycle ends, the application cycle ends on April 1st. So what time frame are we looking at for this transfer or augmentation or whatever you might call it? Will it affect this year's application? Because each vendor service provider has a separate SPIN number for each of their services. So if the merger happens during this cycle, then we might have to continue with the same SPIN number until the next cycle, which would be somewhere around January, February of next year.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you right here, but you have my email, which is right under your chat. If you'll drop me an email, I'll get you to the right people who can address that for you.
That'd be great. I know everything doesn't work according to the E-rate application time frame, and we struggle with that even when we do master contracts.
Sure.
But master contracts affect everyone in the state, right? So all applicants for E-rate schools and libraries. So we just need to not only be aware from our end, but we hold hands with the service provider. So we present a united front to USAC, the Universal Service company that administers this E-rate program.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I will.
Please drop me an email and we'll get you an answer. And Michelle, I see your question as well, and I'll definitely connect up with you as well.
Brian, Mark Goldstein, two last things. One, if you might explain just a little what RAN is to those that may not understand radio access network and the role it may play. But secondly, someone who had to sign off early put in the chat, and I'm sure they meant to say that your presentation was fantastic, but they said it was fanatic.
So I'll answer the first one. We won't go into the fanatic portion, but yeah. So radio access network. The easiest way to think of that is it's the cell tower, and the radio equipment is on the cell tower, as well as the equipment that sits behind that, doing all the controlling of the radio interface, what's needed on the radio interface, and that's everything from managing the radio transmissions itself to managing the antennas themselves. These are smart antennas that we have on the towers. So We have to manage. We can manage the way those antennas radiate from those towers. So that's the radio access network in a nutshell. Is that equipment that is required for managing and transmission of the radio signals to your cell phone.
But what should be important about that is where you may have had a single manufacturer or two providing that equipment for consistency and interoperability. RAN should provide interoperability between the component systems and allow you more of a mix and match capability.
That's right. Yeah, it used to be that, you had to buy all of the components of your RAN, the radio access network, from a single vendor, whether it be an Ericsson or a Nokia or otherwise. Now we do what's called Open RAN, where the interfaces between the major components within the radio access network are opened up so that you can plug different vendors in different portions of the network. For example, AT&T has already, we use Ericsson as our primary radio access network vendor, but we can choose to pick a radio from a different vendor like Onefinity, which is a Fujitsu company. And, you can mix and match different components using an Open RAN architecture.
Right. Thank you.
Bill, did you have something that you wanted to ask or comment earlier?
Just quickly, Brian, thanks for the work you're doing in your presentation today, and thanks for what you do to support public safety.
Bill, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
I'm Bill DiAugustino. I am a senior advisor with the Wireless Infrastructure Association. Brian, I was following and then set it aside, but I know there was a refunding of FirstNet that was underway. Has that been completed?
It has not. It's still underway. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, the reauthorization of FirstNet, I think that was a 10-year authorization for the initial authorization, and that's coming up again. And, we're in the middle of that process right now.
Got it. Thank you.
And Brian, there was a question in the chat. David wasn't able to get his camera to work, his microphone to work, but he wanted to know about, will there be any price changes when you take over the Lumen assets?
Unfortunately, I'm not the pricing person. I'm the technical person. So that's an easy way out of that one.
You're going to plead the fifth, are you?
No, I'm going to plead the fifth on that one. Yeah, I don't deal with the pricing itself. Mine's more on the technical end of it. So,
okay.
Brian, can I ask?
Go ahead, Henry.
About the fiber deployment in Arizona. Do you know what percentage of locations in, Phoenix and Tucson and the rural areas have fiber from Lumen right now? That's one question I had.
Yeah, that unfortunately I don't have that offhand.
Okay.
If you
but
drop
it is primarily a middle mile network, right?
Yes. Yes.
So they may have enterprise customers hooked up, but they're not likely to have any residential customers.
Really? I got the impression when you're purchasing the mass markets business that you're acquiring some residential.
We are. Yeah, I don't have the percentage though. I don't have that percentage of that either though. We can get that for you if you want to drop me an email.
Okay. And the other question I had was you didn't discuss this initiative that AT&T has for with Gigapower for open access networks. Is that something you're tied in with in Arizona? Plans for trying to look at the expansion of that in Arizona?
Yeah. I know Mesa and Gilbert were some of the areas we've been looking at. Gigapower is currently working, yes. And the open access is one area that we do have interest in as well. In fact, I just got off a call about an hour ago we just started a new open access forum and one of the standards committees in order to make sure we progressed standards in order to support open access fiber.
Okay, because I know that Tucson, city of Tucson is building this uh, comprehensive plan to develop fiber to the premise for the entire city of Tucson. I was wondering whether that's something that Gigapower is involved with too, or
That I don't know. I can find
okay,
out to see if specifically if we're looking at Tucson.
I see. Okay, okay. All right. Well, thank you for the response on that.
Okay, anything else for Brian? Going once,
I just had a
going twice.
I put a
I'm
question.
sorry, go ahead, Fernando.
I put a question in the chat regarding CenturyLink. Are they operating as Forge Fiber 37 now, and why not AT&T? Do you know?
That I don't know.
So
Yeah,
and I'm speaking of the fiber acquisition portion.
right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know there are some different branding names that are being used. And and again, this has just happened as of February, so things are still in play. So I think eventually, we'll see uh, branding toward the AT&T, but at this point, they are running under different brands.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? So Fernando and Bill, we might want to have a conversation at another time about workforce development because actually, you guys represent two different parts of the technology, but the big issue still is that issue of workforce development. And again, as Mark commented, that theoretically, when we see the non-deployment funds, that will be a part of the resources that will be available. So again, I don't want to take the time today, but I think that that's a continuing issue that keeps coming up over and over again.
Agree.
Okay, anybody, anything else? So Melanie, you're on. Thank you, Brian. Great job, as always. And we greatly appreciate your regular participation with us. So Melanie, you want to give us any new updates? I know you got some events. I saw your newsletter just recently about some events coming up.
Good morning, everyone. This is Melanie Escher with the Arizona Telemedicine Program and Southwest Telehealth Resource Center. Yeah, we've got some events coming up. We're working. I just got a new webinar posted yesterday afternoon after a very quick turnaround to get it. Christian McLaster with Ingenum Digital Advisors is doing a webinar on the RHTP for our region states, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and Colorado, focusing on, of course, the telehealth space and CMS and helping to get folks ready. So we just got that posted. It's a free webinar, and the information is going to be going out. We're going to get it out onto our socials, and I think it's good timing. He did one for one of our other SWTRCs, focusing on their states in the Midwest. So we're excited to bring that to our region and get some other deep dives into it, specifically in the telehealth. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. We've got a new blog that's coming out. Dr. Karpinski just got one, and that'll be coming out on Thursday. So it takes a while to get all of our pipeline items up and running, but it's kind of like they all come at once. So now I'm frantically getting everything finalized and getting it posted. I've got a few more webinars in the pipeline that I'm working on specifically opioids and DEA CMEs. So physicians need to get different categories of their continuing medical education credits. So I'm working and I've got 3 different webinars coming up, DEA focused on opioids. Specifically, not necessarily on the prescribing side, but on the overdose side, because we've got a huge following with EMS and out in our rural areas, and what happens, what they can do to help prepare these patients before they get to the ER. that the physicians will be working on. So taking just a different little point and trying to keep our rural communities in focus as well, and what they could use.
Thanks,
That's what I got
Melanie.
going.
Any questions for Melanie? Mala, do you have any updates about what's happening with libraries and all that good stuff?
I'm Mala Muralidharan, the state E-rate coordinator for public libraries. And yay, I
Good
did
job,
it
Mala.
before. We last week, ALA and Shelby had a fly-in to meet congressional staff. Between the two groups, there were more than 200 representatives from about 42 different states that stocked the Capitol and spoke about sustainability for E-rate and solutions for the USF funding, which has now taken a back burner. And surprise, surprise, they were able to meet a lot of folks, except CAR's scheduler rejected their meeting with FCC chairpersons, staffers, so they couldn't get to meet with CAR's FCC chairman CAR's staffers. But they did get to meet a whole lot of others, about 45 different staffers, congressional staffers, to, of course, raise all the issues that we have been speaking about here in this forum. So I hope that was successful. At least it drew the attention of the congressional staffers. ALA this is the 150th anniversary for American Library Association. Their conference is in Chicago this year, and it's June 25th to 29th. Shelby's AnchorNet conference, annual AnchorNet conference, is October 7th to 9th, and that's in DC, Crystal City. And they are looking for proposal ideas. And I think the end of March, early April is the deadline. I'm not quite sure what the date is. But AnchorNets is really the foremost broadband policy event in the DC area. They convene both federal and state policymakers. Regulatory staff attend, anchor institutions, national as well as community-based nonprofit organizations, industrial leaders. Many of them, are top broadband policymakers, and it fosters an open dialogue between on broadband issues and the impact that this is having on the community. And they did. I must mention that our Kelly Mukherjee's site, our As One site, was showcased to the congressional staff during the fly-in. So it's what we're doing in gathering these stories around across the state is proving really valuable, because it's carrying these stories right to the DC doorstep, and hopefully that makes a difference in the decision making.
Mala, can you just remind people about what Shelby is?
Yes, Shelby is Schools, Health, Libraries, Broadband Coalition. It is a coalition of not only anchor institutions like schools and libraries and healthcare institutions, but it also has a number of service providers, stakeholders are all part. It is a membership group, though. Yes, thank you, Kelly, for posting the link. And there's lots of news, and the blog carries a lot of the latest information in the broadband area. So please feel free to look at the site, as well as there are a lot of free webinars. The webinars that are done are usually posted for 30 days free of cost. And then after that, it's open only to members. But certainly if you can catch it within the first 30 days, you can see that.
Yeah. Thank you, Mala.
You're welcome.
And Kelly, I'm going to come back to you in 1 second because I'm going to ask you to just comment on the fly-in and what your thoughts were. I assume that was you that did the presentation? No?
No, I
Okay.
think it was Mala that helped represent, and then I'm going to be presenting at the next Shelby um, meeting. So I don't know. I think it's from our connections, and they learn about as one through Mala. So I think it's thanks to Mala.
Yeah, we
Okay.
posted it, yeah, for them to showcase so that they had a link where they had the stories. It was simple, it was easy for them to do, and that was great. Thank you for doing this, Kelly.
Great.
I'm only the mailman. I only took it to them. You did the work.
And before I forget, I know people are dropping off, but if you want to capture any of the chat, I do send it out later. But if you want anything in the chat today, you can go to the chat at the very top. You'll see 3 ellipses. If you click on that, you can download the chat directly to your computer immediately. So I just wanted to remind people about that. So anything else that people want to share before we end for today? Dave, question?
Yeah, actually, more of a comment real quickly for those that are left, if it's useful. Um, People looking for money out of the federal government right now. I saw a very interesting story that came, it was a small story that came out of Colorado, a researcher who lost funding. And she has figured out, I think, cracked the code. And what she came to understand is that a great deal of the decisions about what's getting funded and what's not was largely done by AI and Chat GTP. So the whole concept of Doge wasn't that much of a manual process. There was a certain set of criteria, and if you made it, you got your money, and if you didn't. And I thought that was really interesting. It's really it's just kind of basic human behavior, but Chat GTP has taken on a personality of its own, and it has likes and dislikes. If you want to see something scary, this was about a year ago when I first had some AI tools. I asked it to improve the Gettysburg Address, and well, there were certain concepts in there that it clearly did not like, and so it would soften or change the language. But the best advice I can give to all of you, if you have websites or social media or anything else like that, AI is grabbing all of these things and deciding whether or not in the current climate you're worthy of funding. So I don't know if that's encouraging or discouraging, but if in my business right now, I have to learn to crack the code too. It's when people have different ideas of what is offensive and not offensive, and they use their own language and then try to bring it into a broader world. Sometimes the difference between getting the money and not getting the money can be a few key words or concepts. So if you find that useful, or if you have any thoughts, let me know, because that's what I'm really doing right now to try to move one last project forward, is to conform my language to what I think AI is looking for.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Anything else that people want to share this morning? Going once, going twice. David, you need to get your camera and stuff working here so we can hear from you. And with that, I think we are done for today. Again, just a reminder that next month is the ADEN and AZBSN event. And I will send out the note with the link to be able to register. So just a reminder to mark your calendars, and hopefully we'll see you all there in one of 4 places, either in person or online. And with that, I think we're done for today.
Just that
Thank you
that
all.
event is one of many dozens of events being held that week, Steve. So in your newsletter, people will find the link to AZ Tech Week, under the Arizona Commerce Authority banner. And that week, there's literally dozens of events, almost all of them free, around the state.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I will come. I haven't looked at the schedule, but I believe that a lot of those presentations are focused on business development, if I'm not mistaken, and startups and that sort of thing.
Sure.
And there may be other topics also. So I haven't really looked at the schedule recently. Okay, with that, I think we're done for today. Thank you all. We'll hopefully see you next week.
Hey, Steve,
Yeah, Bill.
I have a quick question. My calendar seems to be off still with your email announcement, your invite. When I look at the details on my calendar, it says 7:50 a.m. Mountain Time.
Which is the correct time. So theoretically, I mean, I try to get people to join with 7:50, so by 8 o'clock we're actually ready to get the meeting going. So that's what that is.
But you didn't start at 8 today. You started at 9 Mountain Time.
No, it's 9 o'clock Mountain Time right now.
Really? Why do I have 10 o'clock Mountain Time? What am I missing?
Well, Bill, and I'm certainly not the most knowledgeable about this, but we did change time zones, and Arizona does not participate in. So
That's what
that
it
may
is.
be maybe why it's incorrect, and theoretically it should correct itself automatically, but apparently
Yeah.
it didn't.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it is. Because
No.
Arizona should be the same as uh Mountain Time right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So that's the deal.
Thanks, my
Yeah.
friend.
Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah. All right. You take care.
Okay. Take care, Bill. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Brian, if you're still there, just thank you again. Great job today.